Bloodseeker, Pango, Doom. All of them are very start. The Arc Warden is there to ensure they've got insurance into the late game. It can scale pretty nice. Can carry them through if they wanted to. New esports, they do go with the Storm, so they see the lack of control from TNC because they sort of lack instantaneous control as well. They can zip around with the Storm. They pick Storm to Blood though, so if you get the opportunity to Rupture, could be a double-edged sword there. Gotta be careful with where you choose these fights. Lincoln's more than likely gonna have to be a core pickup for DDZ, but we'll see how it unfolds. Really interesting drafts from both sides, very different from game one. New esports, again, I worry about those combos, Mike. They've got to do them every time.
It is going to have to be a very coordinated effort for new esports, but assuming they can land everything the way they're imagining they'll land it, it should be pretty darn good for them, right? Like, it's just about landing everything perfectly, getting your coordination right. Although you are still up against the Bloodseeker, I do love the DDZ Storm into the Arc Warden of Gabby, right? Because you've got a way, if you spot out the real Arc Warden, you just zip in, take him out. Doesn't really care for your magnetic field and crap like that if you're the Storm Spirit. Even the Tempest Double, it's worth so much gold. If you could just zip in and clear that Tempest Double out every single time, you're just going to escalate in terms of the gold that you can get on this Storm. But speaking of gold, John, you've got Doom, who has Devour, and you have Arc Warden, who has Double Midas. So there will be a lot of gold coming in for TNC Predator, and I imagine they should be able to get a pretty hefty net worth lead by the time we hit that 20-minute mark or so.
Oh yeah, unless New Esports always plays on the dot. Their team fight, these heroes will still constantly find that farm, so the aggression from New Esports early is going to be super important to keep that in check, and the pressure's on them to actually speed that game up. Right, like even if you've got the Storm, in this game you're looking for maybe just one item before the Storm gets active, perhaps a fast, either a fast Yules or a fast Kaya, and then you really start zipping around. Whether or not you go for the Lincolns depends on how often DDZ gets caught out, but they will want to play fast. When Chrono's up, they go. When Arena Egg is up, they go. That is the game plan here for New Esports, and TNC, they've got to be ready for that. They've got to understand that their AoE control compared to a Chrono just does not match up.
Not. I'll wait to see New Esports if they can make this draft work. I mean, it looks so good on paper. That's the thing, right? Like, on paper, it looks amazing.
30 seconds to battle.
But executing all of it is a much different story. TNC, you're relying on Gabby to escalate and farm on this Arc Warden, and relying on Armel to be able to set a pace in this game that New Esports cannot keep up with, but New Esports will be trying to do the exact same thing. It's going to be a very even start, it seems like. Just 2 for 2 on the bounties. KB, he'll get a bit of damage out onto Yamate, and Yamate, he just wanted a high five, and he eventually gets it off KP. It does cost him, you know, about 100 HP, but that's all.
Worthwhile. It's worthwhile. A high five back is always nice, and lane is going to be pretty straightforward. You've got Mozen on that Jakiro, of course, with Yamate's right up against KP and Tim's on a Bloodseeker and Pango. So level 1 gonna be pretty straightforward. I think where you do start to feel some pressure is the level 3 mark. Levels Bloodright and the Thirst. You're gonna have to be cautious about when Tim's comes in with a Swashbuckle. The timing between those spells, the land, gonna be the key thing for a KP to keep that pressure up. Of course, when you're laning against Jakiro, that's all easier said than done. You cop the dual Brett, you cop a lot of damage as well here.
Yep. Of course, in that mid lane, Armel and DDZ going to be up against each other. DDZ going to be looking to apply as much pressure as possible. Of course, Armel did go for that early point in the, or rather not the point, but he did pick up an early ring of protection. He does have a very low base armor, and DDZ can abuse that quite nicely, as he is right now. Armel can't do much about it. All he can do is just come in and out, get some CS, get a Devour off. But overall, DDZ should have a large advantage this laning matchup. You can see that by the CS right now. He's 5 ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be a really smooth time here for DZ. He doesn't even have a salve up. He just has an extra set of tangos on top of his shared tangos. See Armel already having to pop his salve to maintain the lane. Investment from the supports to maybe stack up the jungle just a tad to have her Doom bounce back. But Armel, for his part in this lane, as long as he doesn't die, he's gonna be happy. Just stay in the lane, find EXP, and you should be fine. Just worry about DDZ getting a bit too big. That's down to the supports coming out. And speaking of, Barry's forced to TP home already.
Goes back to the tier 1 tower. He had a salve, so he's gonna be all right. Do love to see that early aggression though with these Arc Wardens. I mean, that Spark Wraith and Flux does so much damage at these earlier levels that if you can find the opportunity to try and make a jump in, it's well worth it for Gabby. I'm sure they'll be continuously looking for those opportunities as time goes on in this lane. On the same side of the coin, you do have to be a little bit cautious about not taking a spear from Candy Loon, as you are quite squishy as the Arc Warden. It is pretty easy to take him out if they do land the stuns. But Barry, let's go pretty far. Gets the Icarus dive off in time before the stun does land. B was there from Candy Loon onto Gabby, but it did not land onto a tree. Both sides will be just fine.
Yeah, it's just a steady lane up top. Expect too many kill opportunities. I mean, there is potency, as you mentioned, with Arc Ward and Venge, but the damage output isn't amazing. Candy Loon's pretty tanking, and Barry's been unpunished from the dive, so you don't have a way of cleanly canceling that Icarus dive, not like if you had, say, a Nyx or a Clockwork. Fairly easy to just zip in and out. The big thing here is that Gabby's farm has been kept in check relatively well, although
it does end up getting the first blood there onto Mosin. It's one thing you gotta be careful of, John. With Tim's, he's got the Orb of Venom and the Lucky Shot, both of which apply some pretty hefty slows, and it allows such an easy blood right setup for KP.
Oh yeah, and that's what we were looking for. That's the power spike of this dual lane. They can just keep that control up. Mosin on the Jack. He has 290 move speed. Once he gets slowed down there, it's not an easy time to get out of that, right?
I mean, it's literally 35% with the Lucky Shot. The slow that is, and then the Orb of Venom on top is just... it's way too much. Tim's gonna rotate through the mid lane. DDZ. No one got the rune there because it is up at the top lane where Barry was trying to protect, but now he'll go after Armel. Well, won't have a chance to try and take that haste rune away, so DDZ should get a full bottle here, and does.
Haste!
In fact, he's going to go after Armel. He'll try for the rush. Does he want to dive? He is going to try for this. Tim still around, does get the disarm off in time. Armel survivor DDZ. He's not done with that haste rune. Going up Tim's now. A dive in from Barry. They'll get the Pango, but Barry does die to the tier 1. Still DDZ is able to get both. In fact, unfortunately for DDZ, the creeps ended up getting Armel, but it doesn't matter. He gets a lot of XP, takes the small camp double stack, and now is at the level 6 mark prior to 5 minutes in.
This is not good news for Armel. We said the Doom would struggle. Needed the camp to bounce back. Losing a stack like that hurts a ton. And New Esports, they're off to a pretty darn good start. They even out the kill board with those 2 set of kills on the most important hero. And as long as DDZ maintains this pace, applying that pressure to really get his snowball going. A good smooth start for your Storm like this is all you could really ask for from the mid lane.
This is the one thing you don't want though if you're TNC, right? Like you do not want to give DDZ this start, because it's going to have the flow-on effect of affecting Gabby. You are reliant on the Storm to be able to harass and catch out this Arc Warden once you hit the mid game. And if DDZ is having too good of a game, he's going to do it every single time he sees Gabby, and it's really going to hurt the economy of TNC.
Yeah, it certainly will. The issue there is rotating Tim's doesn't do too much, and rotating March and Avenge also isn't going to stop the Storm at this point. So they don't have many windows to slow that snowball. Right now, TNC, all they can do is mitigate the loss. They know the matchup's not favorable. They've got to stand back, just farm steady. Once you have Doom up on Armel, you can make some sneaky plays, and he's looking to soak that level 6 up just with the Invis.
It's all he can do, but he's going to be 2 levels behind now. Gonna try for the Doom attempt as soon as he hits that 6 mark, but none of the creeps are dying. He'll devour, goes for the Doom. The zip was not there in time, but immediate rotations out from Mosin. It is a long TP, however, and they will be able to clean up this storm. Mosin can't go for the deny either, as the attack animation on Jakiro is just so bad. March, meanwhile, top lane, also gonna die here on the Venge. Barry does get hit by the Spark Wraith and is gonna die. That is unfortunate, but a great little play out from Gabby. A great play out from TNC altogether.
They got the kills they really needed. The mid one was way more important. Again, they put a lid on the storm just a bit. That helps Armel bounce back in, keeps a check on DDZ. He's still doing well on gold, but he's not quite on top yet. Just tied up, a 3-4-way tie with all of these cores. Really even distribution on the board. Really even game so far, 3-4, less than a K for TNC. It's going to take a while for any sort of pull away from Gabby. He is almost at his Midas though. So our Arc Warden, despite the slower rate of CS, he's found a lot of space for himself to get a steady build up into that gold acceleration tool.
Gonna try and make a dive here on some March though. DDZ making the rotation up, and Gabby, seeing all this, of course, will just TP straight away. Won't bother sticking around. He'll go straight to that mid lane now and just take over instead. It's very important for him to get this Midas up ASAP, and it is going to be very, very well timed, mind you. But he just can't afford to play these kind of war games right now with the storm. Just fine.
Yeah, it's a massive risk, and you can see Yamate, he switched lanes as well. He's staying up top, he's getting the push on by himself. He's got the chrono, but his teammates aren't ready to clump up. They don't have Egg, they don't have Arena, they don't have Macropyre. Looks like New Esports, they're going to sit in that chrono until some more level 6s are up. You don't see TNC applying as much pressure. Bot tier 1 for New Esports still really healthy, so no trades coming out here.
Not. Tim's showing himself, just trying to be a little bit annoying here against DDZ on the storm, just getting the disarms off whenever he can. TNC, they're going to group up down bot. Looks like they'll go after Mosin on the Jack. He'll go for a TP play, and will make it, and now the rest of his team are going to join in. They do get a one-man arena. That'll be March gone. Zip in from DDZ, back onto KP, but Armel does have the Doom available and does commit it. KP is going to be all right for now. He does make a run for it.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
He is up and available very soon for Candy, but he does not have any trees to latch onto. Be it. The 1 kill onto March. Everyone else from New Esports gets out scot-free.
Yeah, it's a fairly good win for New Esports though. They managed to expend a Doom, so Armel's not going to have that for the next 2 minutes. They keep their tier 1 protected as well, and they get to hold on to the map. So they've got more control here. You can see Gabby has his Midas up. They have not kept that Arc Ward in check. That's one issue for New Esports. Gabby is still building up really fast, and he's getting all the space he wants from TNC.
March gonna run into Barry, gets the stun off. Barry does have the Icarus dive. He's just waiting it out and getting some Fire Spirits in. Back onto Armel, who's going to get Vortex. Now the Sun Ray out. Armel's in big, big trouble. Yamate coming in with the Chrono. Won't commit quite yet because they won't need it perhaps, as Armel is very, very low. One more hit would do it, but they can reach in the end. The Spear is going to be there from Candy. Yamate does make the right decision by holding on to the Chrono, and we'll have it for the next engagement.
Really starting to rack in the kills here for New Esports. Aggression starting to pay off, finding some pretty key pickups. Killing Doom is nice, but again, he can kind of play catch up with the Devourer. So I don't think TNC is going to be too upset. The key thing is they've kept Gabby really uncontested. No one is paying attention. No one even bothers with spotting this Arc Warden out, and that's one thing you want to see from New Esports. They have to maintain control in the jungle. They have to drop some wards here, because he is building up. He's going to get into the Maelstrom. He's going to go into the Travels, and then the split push starts to come in, and New Esports will have to be ready to run around the map catching that Remnant out.
You know, I wonder if Barry's name is actually Barry. The very Australian name to have, Barry. Saw that, I was like, wow, that's a pretty Aussie name to have. It's,
Radiant's bottom tower is under
It reminds me of
rotation now. have that conversation in a second, John. There's a bit of a smoke going on here down at the bot lane. Candyloon has the arena. He's going to run into KB, gets the spear on. March doesn't have swap yet. He's just off level 6, so KB is on his own. He'll get a rupture out with a blood right, but it's not going to help. Now March getting dived on by Barry, but looks like he will be fine to walk himself out. Meanwhile, top lane, Mosin also caught out here. Looks like he will drop to Armel. Still a very positive trade, however, for New Esports as they do kill off the off lane for a position 5.
Yeah, they're just finding the better end of the stick here in every single engagement. Getting the bigger heroes out. So KP's timing's going to be delayed. He's rushing the pipe.
March.
Radiant's middle tower.
March is in a bit of danger here, but Gabby will be there to save him. Still, he does die out to the fire spirits, but Barry will trade his own life away for that. Gabby will be the one to take it. Candy gonna go back in. Yamate has the chrono, does commit, catching out the Arc Warden. Now DDZ going back in, focusing down Gabby, and they do get the kill. Mel does commit the Doom back onto the Faceless Void. Gabby, or rather KB, gonna block him off in the Blood Ride.
Dire's middle
Kill him off. Now Tim scanning out for more. But they'll turn back around onto this Pangolier. KP can't really help out here. Does eventually get the Blood right off, but DDZ, he'll just keep going onto this Bloodseeker with the Sun Ray out. Ice Path, however, won't land. They are out of mana on their Storm. That'll be it. Both teams taking a couple kills, but will eventually back off.
Yeah, overall, TNC losing Gabby is a pretty big deal. Still going.
Yeah, Moses just out of position here. He was trying to get some D wards out, it seems like, and it cost him his life.
Yeah, and if you're TNC, you know, losing Gabby hurts, but you have a 2k advantage. Gabby's still on top. Those kills coming out did help Armel bounce back to the second spot of net worth, and Gabby just goes back to farming. So overall, you're fine with that. Egg was dropped, Arena was dropped. They do have, Chrono was dropped. They do have Egg and Arena up. So New Esports are smoking up to find another opportunity.
Radiant are scanning.
The beauty of this draft from New Esports is they don't need the Chrono to be up every time because they can still go with the Arena. In fact, Gabby is going to get spotted now by DDZ, and they don't even need the Egg Arena. They just needed a nice little spear out, and now perhaps they could have used the Arena as March is there with Tim's. Goes for the roll. Armel looking to take that Mars down, but couldn't quite finish the job off. Now March is set to drop in the Ice Path. He's also going to connect on KP. New Esports. Just great little engagements out from this Radiant side, and TNC Predator. They're just taking all these fights, but it's not working out for them.
No, it's really not. The bad thing about that fight as well is that they fought right at their triangle. The stacks on Ancients are going to be taken out now by Yamate. That's a lot of gold they've given out in the kills in the farm. And TNC, they're going to be playing from the back foot now. 1k lead in their end, but the kill advantage is now on New Esports side. You can see them really starting to go for the aggressive plays here. They're going to have Chrono up in 20 seconds. They still have the Egg. They've still got an Orchid that is going to be flying out for DDZ. So their timings are looking tight. Power spikes, and TNC, they have to know that when you run this Arc Warden draft, it takes a while for it to really hit max speed. It's just going to be a little bit longer until Gabby can hit like a truck and can start helping his team out.
The thing with that net worth lead for TNC as well, John, is it doesn't really matter because you've got Doom Arc Warden, right? So you need to be more ahead than 2k if you're TNC. Is it the double Midas plus Devour? You're always going to have a slight net worth advantage. It's just about extending that to be a much bigger advantage. Because New Esports, probably already knowing this, understand how close they are in this game so far. TNC, they'll just try and take down that bottom tier 1 tower, eventually just leaving it for the siege creep to take it out, and they'll go for a smoke with Armel and March into that mid lane. They have the Blink Doom up. Candyloon gonna get spotted and does break the smoke of March, but throws a quick spear out, and that's not really the target they want to start on. Speaking of blinks, Candyloon has one on the way.
That's going to be a big one. Allows them to set through the arena really well. One thing for TNC is that they've got 6 in March. They can play that slot.
Oh, he's got the Orchid John. DDZ has spotted out Gabby and
Is under attack.
gets his courier as well, rather KB's courier. Rolling Thunder is out from Tim's onto the Phoenix. They get one. They find another. Ooh, great chrono, great arena out from the side of New Esports. They're trying to focus down KB on that Bloodseeker. Here comes DDZ once again, zipping in and just cleaning up. There's your egg being thrown out. Armel, can he get himself out? I don't really think so. Oh, he can, just barely, but the Icarus time. And the Sun Ray, not going to be enough. He still manages to blink out. That was just a really nice ward. That I'm not sure if the viewers caught, John, but it was just right there on my ping. Just spotting out Gabby, and March does eventually get the D ward out now. They're going to try and make a play onto Yamate. Time walks away. It's the fly out. Mel even jumping in, and Yamate still alive with another time walk. Sunray is there, but March will swap him back in. Yamate cannot get out of this one. Does end up going down.
Yeah, that's a bit greedy for Yamate. Just staying there to farm those ancient camps. Not where he wants to be. Really good kill for TNC to pick up. You're still starting to hurt here. Every single time you lose Gabby like that, it is starting to hurt. So the Orchid of DDZ paying off dividends. He's going into the Kayanex, more than likely into the Bloodstone. And if he keeps finding those kills, gonna start racking up those charges and have a lot more presence. So TNC, got to be a lot more cautious. Need to be disciplined enough to maintain ward coverage and maintain D wards as well. There are still some deep wards here from New Esports. A really nice one watching that corridor on the top jungle. But you're not safe. It's never going to be safe when you're playing against a Storm on a roll like this.
Well, luckily for TNC, they do at least take the Arcane Rune away from that top lane. But speaking of that top lane, Mel's been jumped. DDZ zipping in all the way from that tier 1 top tower. With that Orchid, it's just so easy to get these kills on.
Yeah, Candy on KB though.
KB trapped in the macro, and the arena still going to survive. Yeah, it looks like he will be safe. It's a mech hill that came in and put him back up in HP from Tim's.
Yeah, that does open up the roach for New Esports right into the pit. It's a nice scan from TNC to spot it out, but they need to start moving if they want to contest it, and they're in position.
Down fast. They're trying, but Candyloon is blocking the pathing. Still very low March. Can he get some vision here? Floodrite is going to give it, but the Ice Path not going to allow him to get a swap off in time. Still, they could deny the Aegis straight away, but a great egg out protecting the Storm, and he is able to zip out. He'll be just fine. They can't get the Aegis off him. Candy does get March. Barry going down on the Phoenix. They will leave Mosen Kiro to also die. That is both your supports going down, but it's still considered a pretty big win here for New Esports.
Definitely is. They've got the second life on DDZ.
Under attack.
Still finding a little bit more in terms of overall objectives for these wins. I have to say, it's really... I keep forgetting that Rupture doesn't work on Ball Lightning. You're in an invulnerable state. So you Rupture the Storm, it doesn't do anything. He just zips around. As long as he doesn't actually step, then he's fine. So DDZ is just really zipping around. There's nothing to stop him with his lineup unless the Doom comes out. And TNC, they've been a bit more cautious with how far forward Armel is. They've still got a 3k lead. They're still buying time for Gabby, but you can really start to feel New Esports try to keep that aggression up. They need to keep playing this way though. The moment they slip up, look at Gabby's net worth. He's 1k above DDZ now. It's going to build up. It's just the Arc boarding game. He's going to get the EXP. He's going to get the items. If you leave him alone for too long, Gabby's going to come out with a lot more, and it's going to be a pain in the ass to really kind of clean up.
Watch your mouth, Jonathan. How dare you? DDZ coming up to KB now, and it's going to be another easy pick off. Does have the Hood of Defiance, but it is not helping as much as he would like. In fact, that was the full pipe. Just not enough. DDZ is just way too strong at the moment. And speaking of, is DDZ just rushing a Bloodstone here. He's just got 2.6k in the bank account currently.
It
Hasn't
looks
queued
like.
anything up.
I wouldn't blame him for it. I'd say the safer play is maybe a BKB, just to ensure that you won't get silenced, although, or a Lincoln's to prevent the Doom. Got a lot of ways to break that, and DDZ has been pretty on point anyway, so more offense is always nice. They jump in.
Lane does get the Shadow Amulet off, but there is going to be a Sentry Ward there from Mosin. Now DDZ godlike at 10-1. 5 assists on the Storm Spirit. He's even got the Nether Shawl to amplify some magic damage for himself, which is always a nice little added bonus, and they have found another Armel. Getting speed in the arena with a macro and Chrono dropped it. Just leave him there for a second. Now going back in with the disarms and Mech is out. Armel, he'll survive and he'll get the Doom out to boot. Now with the stun, does he get out of here? He does. Yamate the one to fall, but here comes DDZ. Missing the zip, still going after Armel in the T3 tower. Gabby trying to save, but the magnetic field is not enough. For DDZ now, he is out of mana. Looks like he will lose the Aegis. Should be able to zip out in time unless this Blood Right is timed perfectly, and it is. And they will be able to get him. Nice tip to KP as he does time it just on point. TNC,
Dire's top tower is
they're going to be
under
thanking the
attack.
lucky stars with
Radiant's
those
bottom
kills, John. That is
tower
worth
is
a
under
lot of
attack.
gold for him.
Yeah, that's a really deep dive from DDZ. Unfortunate they didn't have the damage for the Doom,
Dire's top
but this is
tower
where it starts to
under
turn around a
attack.
bit for They've got a solid 5k lead now. They managed to get the split push going, taking a tier 2 out bot. The effect of the Arc Warden is going to kick in. And new esports, that's it a bit too much. They need to play aggressive. They don't have Chrono, they do have Arena Egg. This is the time when you really start to check those timers. Got to play around with them. They can't allow TNC to keep clawing back space in the map like this, because they're still scaling. Like, Gabby still has a lot of room to grow. Armel is still constantly building up. He's gonna go for the Ags on the Doom, just giving himself more options with the Infernal Blade. And that's just gonna be so much more control that you do not want to deal with.
Absolutely not. I try to play onto Tim's here. Candy gets the arena, gets the spear. Should have the damage output with Yamate, or maybe not. Looks like they do require DDZ to be around to just zip in and finish it up.
Yeah.
The Guardian Greaves proving to be a bit too much here on Tim's. Mosin is a bit out of position. Gonna rush him with a haste rune now. That should be Mosin just dead, but they do miss the spear. Clumsy net should be enough, and it will be. DDZ. You okay? Does have to be wary of the fact that Doom is going to be up in 5 seconds, and they have smoked up. But they do smoke underneath vision. So new esports just wanting to back off and take the high ground.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Tay has Chrono, doesn't go for it. Armel jumping in, doesn't get the Doom off on the Storm. Realize they
Radiant's
were
middle
under vision
tower is under
when they
attack.
did smoke up.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Still opens up that push for the mid-tier 1. They're gonna find it just fine. You know, one thing with this combo we haven't talked about much, the Blood Rage on the Tempest double. It's such a low risk investment to have a lot of attack speed on that double. Really low investment push. No risk. Just drop that Blood Rage on the double, have him hit the towers, you're good as gold.
Gotta love these
Radiant's top
little
tower
combinations in
is under
Dota. There's always some sneaky
yeah.
stuff you can run. Everything's really viable, you know, in terms of meta. Run anything you want out there. New esports towards that bot lane. Armel gotta be careful to show himself here. DDZ can always zip through the map. Does have that Bloodstone up, by the way.
Radiant's top tower is under
And
attack.
Tim's gonna be around to join him. They have not realized TNC are there. Oh, No, Tims, he does get spotted out by DZD, but Armel does jump in with the stun and the Doom out on the Storm, but they have lost Tims. Still going after the Storm Spirit. The Sunray going to heal him up a little bit. Gabby moving in with March. Storm falling very low, but now the head going to be committed, but everything's going to get bursted down. Chrono suspended, but it is not great. They do at least get Armel as a trade, but Yamate now needs to get out of there. Gabby is dealing way too much damage, and he does go down a triple, maybe even an ultra. No. March will steal the ultra kill away from Gabby. But another great team fight out off the back of that Doom from Armel.
That was just a lot of commitment, just a little bit too late. And that's the effect of the Storm not going for that Linken's. Went for the Bloodstone first and immediately punished, 10 charges left. Without the Linken's, the Doom just flies right in. There's no hesitation from Armel. He will get it off. He might have killed the Doom early with a Pango, but he did his job. He dropped the Doom. That's all they need to take that Storm out. And you mentioned it before, but they lack damage without DDZ. There's not enough from the Void to eat through the armor and sustain on TNC's side. So DDZ, the moment he's gone, you are going to be hard-pressed to kill the heroes in TNC's side.
Not going to be easy. They were so reliant on this Storm, but he's fallen so far behind this Arc Warden. 9k net worth lead out for TNC Predator. Start to wonder how they are going to pull it back. As Gabby is just out of control now. Almost has the Scythe of Vice up. The double Hex coming for Gabby. Armel. I believe they did spot Mosin for a second, but think better of it. Gabby, just the Tempest double, but even that's not going to die as he does have the BKB up. Yamate gonna go ahead and try to clean it up, and does.
See no evil.
Like, if that double had the Scythe of Vice, which is now up, I think DDZ might have been dead. Like, there's a chance he could have just died from the raw damage. They even spot one up top.
Thunder, but you got Sunray.
Oh, of course.
See you, Barry. I don't think you should be allowed to use voice lines after that. It's like, it's not fair. You can literally become invulnerable off the map, so they can't even see you as you're TPing. It's a bit of a broken spell to have.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. It's a strange one, you know. It's very clutch at the same time, very annoying still. No TNC. This is when that split push comes into play. Gabby's just tossing his doubles down bot every single time. Armal's playing with Yamate, who gets a Doom off.
Does get the Doom off. Candy Loon is there to try and help, but Armel pops the BKB. Now DDZ gonna zip in, but Tims is out with Gabby with the Tempest double. They drop the arena. Armel is still focusing down this Void, and he's trapped in the tree line now, just behind a creep wave. Even DDZ going down to Gabby on the Arc Warden, and now even Mosin. Gonna be chased from the Jakiro, and he has nowhere to go but down. It's gone. TNC, they are out of control, John. They might just go high ground.
This is all off the back of one item investment from DDZ. It's the Bloodstone over anything defensive. He's being punished super hard for that now. 7 charges. That Bloodstone's not doing anything. In the high ground, you're going to be hard-pressed to stop this one. You need to buy back on the Void with the Chrono to land perfectly here.
Even then, do they have the damage? Chrono's well and truly, you know, great and all, but do you have the damage in the Chrono? I'm starting to doubt they do.
It doesn't feel like it now.
TNC, they're going to get the bot racks for free. And they might even just move mid. There's really nothing to stop them at the moment. Nice little tier 2 tower. Armel already getting started.
It's going to be difficult. You need the Egg Chrono to really work out. We haven't seen that combo come out. Barry's been holding off, but this is the time when they need to execute their combinations perfectly. Egg, Macrofire, Chrono together. You might have enough in the tank with that, but then you also need to catch March. You need to catch these key heroes, because if you don't, they get swapped out and you don't find what you want. Now you have to contend with an Aeon Disc on Tims, with the Ags on Armel. More damage, more control from the Infernal Blade. Just a much more difficult game now for New Esports because they opted to play the slower game.
They do group up again. Yeah, do we have a smoke? We do have one on Mosin, but they aren't going to decide to pop it yet. Looks like both teams are just getting ready for the Roshan play here from TNC. Of course, you have a lot of Roshan potential and a lot of counterfight from new esports with their draft in that Roshan pit, unless you get picked off, which Gabby does send the Temper Stubble in and just kills off Mosin. They want to take over the triangle and rush the Roshan pit, I believe. You
Radiant
are going to scan the Roshan pit, but it's just Armel walking through, and that baits them back in now, so KB can rush for a rupture onto this void. Yamate forced the BKB, but gets doomed up. He can't chrono, but they've doomed each other thanks to that Lotus Orb. Still, they'll go back after Armel. Now Tim's falling low, but doesn't die quite yet. Gabby is just ripping everyone apart. He goes for another now, onto Candy Loon, and Candy, well, he'll be alright for now, but Barry will not be. Anyone that walks in Gabby's way is just gone. And a messy engagement. Armel did doom a Lotus Orbed Void, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, it's not going to stop them. They don't have buyback in the void. You need a chrono to stop the push. They can try clearing out the creeps, but there's a siege creep. That's not going to die to this.
It's not, and now the Hex comes out once again onto our Jakiro. Mosin is pretty low. DDZ trying to go after March, but can't even kill him off. They've got way too much sustain with the pipe, with the Greaves, even with that Glimmer Cape, and now with Vladmir's offering on March. That's the second Rax going down.
Oh, it's a very difficult game now for new esports. One outer tier 2 left. TNC, this time they could probably just stare down that rush, go for it if they wanted to. They do stand a bit of a risk. Yamate's back up, he does have chrono. Playing that pit really easily if they get there fast enough. The issue is, new esports can't even get control in their triangle back, so to go into the rush for them is very difficult.
Man, look at Gabby's net worth. He's 28k. Literally 13,000 gold ahead of the Storm right now. It's just... I hate this hero so much, John. It just makes no sense. How is this allowed?
Oh, man.
Mind you, Gabby's obviously a very, very good Arc Warden player. I would not be able to do this myself, just in case that wasn't obvious, John.
Yeah, I think the big part is new esports just didn't punish. You know, we talked about it. Gabby died 3 times, and those were all important times. He needed to die 6 times, though. Not 3. He needed to die way more times to keep him in check. They needed to keep warding that jungle. They didn't. And that complacency has led to this situation. Tier 2 being sieged. They've got the Aegis up into the high ground. How do you go in with a chrono? You need a chrono Mac egg to work. Can you find that opening here if you're new esports?
We're gonna find out soon. Oh, Barry's been hexed. He can't die like this. Barry needs to egg, maybe. No, he'll hold down with the Lotus Orb, but he's going to go down to Gabby anyway. Now the arena will be dropped. They're going to try with the chrono out, focusing down March. There's one down. Now back on to KB, but KB will survive for now as Gabby keeping him safe. Armel will jump back in with a stun, and it looks like Mosin about to fall with Candy Loon, and they both go down. The Candy, he'll bite back. DDZ still just zipping through the whole team with TNC, and they don't care. They will just keep going after that tier 3 tower. Gabby still holds on to that Aegis. And I'm not trying to get a cheeky stun out. Won't quite catch him. But Mega Creeps are coming very, very soon. There is no way to stop it.
Oh, I mean, he's trying. In those first 2 zips in, he missed 1 melee creep that was giving them a way through that backdoor. Now it's Mega Creeps out. They don't have chrono. Gonna be very hard pressed fight, but they do hold out for the defense here.
More towers under siege. Gabby not paying attention to anything else as we do have a Doom out on our Void now. And that is going to be another dead Void. Now Arena being dropped. On to KP, but there's no follow-up. DDZ, he's going to try, but they call the GG. New Esports understanding how far behind they are now, really have no chance left in all this, and they do just call it. And that'll be TNC getting a 2-0 victory for their series today over New Esports.
Yeah, really excellent performance from TNC and New Esports. They had